I trust everybody has their drink in hand. I hope. This is called Rise Spirits. Stagger up from coddled cups, fuddled sops. Revive and sway from all sorts pots, debauched sots. Crawl from bar stools and tabletops, soused gutter mops. From grain muck, potato hunk, grape must, sugar lump. From warts, washes, and hops, you dispomaniac drunks. From back door, bathtub, bootleg, slap bang, still shops. From shady lounges, bars, and pubs. From ghostly palaces, parlors, ghastly dives, and clubs. Come, wet your whistle, tie one on, and beaver up. With a brew of pearl, sack, hawk, pulque, flip, and junk. For you tipsy tipple hogs and potationist punks, I tap the kegs, barrels, pipes, and butts. I tip the flagons, noggins, flasks, and jugs. For you carousing lot, imbibe a damp, a round, a go, a shench, a nudge, a squib, a rub, and a pint of hot. Oh, drink deep draughts of my wine dark plonk. Swill it, swing it, sling it, toast it, tope it, toss it, oh glug, gulp, guzzle, knock it back, and lap it up. Now as this firmament ferments for us, rise and slur, oh stumble up to orate and pontificate. From the faint fog sway to ornate and obfuscate, convivial mates to oraculate and equivocate. Oh rise, intoxicants, rise up and speak.
Yes.
I'm reading from a new book that I've got, and the first section is all about alcohol. We've got a lot of poems about, or we've got a lot of songs about drinking and a lot of jokes about drinking, but it seems strangely for an art that's so fueled by alcohol that we have so few poems actually about alcohol. And so the following poems are about alcohol in its many different forms. This one is called Cocktails, the Martini. And it's an opera buffa, that's a comedic opera. Of a mafia ray sing I, drawn by 400 prancing ponies and 4 winged Pirellis. He descends in a Maserati, a big guy virtuosi. You can see his salami sway like some reverse Salome. His floozy is Mimi, raised in Miami, butt-tanned in Waikiki, sin bikini, clad in knee-highs in the pricey nylais of cultural amputees, Versace, Armani, Gucci, and Missoni. In the cafe, he shouts brave and decrees Campari, toasts his favorite jockey, downs 2 kamikazes, a Mai Tai, a shot of rye, and drops 2 tabs of ecstasy. Holy moly, he liked to party. Hoo-wee, he yells to Mimi, yet beneath the alcoholic ennui, Mimi laps only Pellegrini and eats hoity-toity antipasti. As the room begins to sway, 5 young Yamaguchis in khaki, armed with Israeli Uzis, spray high-impact putti willy-nilly into the wounded feng shui. Dropped kimchi graffitis his Armani, and shakes his last dry martini, gin, blood, martini, and rossi. Like Mussolini in Montessori, the party turns topsy-turvy. People go motley, recite Dante, attorneys bray like donkeys. The fate accompli with a side of corpus delecti. Death sashimi without wasabi. A fiat of someone's lackey, a rich Rusky in status nascendi, or a Marahara GI of the misanthropic miserati. Spurned by love abandonné, penis envy, or plain greedy. Dripping Pellegrini, Mimi. Call off the Carabinieri. In Little Italy, the modus operandi is not the MI5 or the FBI. Convey the rabbis and abbeys, sound it from the belfries. An area, she cries, he was a bully, a Gemini twin to the vox populi, like a ventriloquist to his dummy. He deserves no mercy. Subterranean his industry, he lived a quasi-Medici beneath the Pompeii of money. This calamari held high, she brushes off the Italian parsley, is his savory memento mori. In a Mediterranean aioli, she sighs. Man drinks, therefore he dies, and lays a gold card on his eyes. So a lot of these poems are actually, one of the common threads throughout the book is actually phonetics, and each of the poems actually focuses on a different phonetic principle or a different phoneme in the English language. And these poems were actually built by doing extensive electronic searches through the Oxford English Dictionary and coming up, for example, with that one, it was a list of about 10,000 words and winnowing that down into a poem. And you'll hear that throughout some of the next ones. This next poem is called Choreographed Echoes. And it's actually, I would call it a biochemical poem. It's based on hydroxyls, that is OHs. OHs in chemical compounds make alcohol. And so I searched through the entire English language for all the words that contain OH. And then out of that list, I created this poem. O C2H5OH, aka alcohol, aloha. Howdy, Hote Hornswoggle. Ola, homicidal hell honey of incoherent ombres and ad hoc cacophony. Euphonic hooter of bar-hopping bariphony. As homophobic phonophile shout phallophoric apthongs, bow-hunk unchuks holler osteo allophones of homo sapien bonhomie. Abhorring an ohm's bohemian Nero humor, e.g. Noah's nymphoholery, like a hoodlum's aphotic arsehole, Jehovah's, Elohim's, and Mohammed's, i.e. holy autophobes in aphany, choir Catholic prohibitions. Yet, ethanol's euphoria wobbles in brewhouse bathos. Paraphoronic mahoo-hoos hog shochu, nepthologic yahoo shoot samshu, hip-hoppers hoard hoochinu, bachelor's stomach scotch. Rhodes panthotic poet omachia, chortles plethora, hooray, fathoms psychosis, boo-hoo, anchors cirrhosis, botched horror, and authors symphonic biochem hoku. This next one is keeping with the comedic strain so far, is set in the Red Revolution in 1917 when the Red and White armies actually clashed in the Winter Palace. And they say that the revolution stopped for 2 weeks as both armies drank their ways through the Tsar's extensive cellar. Ack, ack goes the gun attack. Back, back, yell the junkers, high on Arak, Pontak, and Armenian Armagnac. Where czars scoffed caviar and zakuski, bubbled samovars and inbred nobility, drank Nance and spoke of Germany, now Volgas of unwashed humanity ransack cellars for French whiskey and Irish brandy. Riff-raff of the underclass commanderate Smirnov shouts from the palace loft, ambidextrous Marxist-Leninists, sociopathic socialists, drinking to the proletariat while robbing them like idiots. To you I toast this Molotov, may it blow you back to the Romanovs. With a last bottle of 1847 Chateau de Calme, an uncorked cellar servant. Ah, this was the Tsar's favorite, and oh how he would savor it, full of tannin and foreign profit. In 1812 we finished Napoleon, then stuffed in a bottle the Tsar brought him back in. Yet, now who's to serve it, and who's to drink it? Indecent and undecanted, Bolsheviks and Mensheviks united only behind a Russian claret. I can't stand it, I saw a butler drink a 1910 Muscat. Debouché, Rothschild, Monteloy, Laros, Getrank, Rudesheimer, Makaburun, and Moose, sacked Tokay from honey, Prince Godelzin's honey. Reds before whites, whites before reds, what a viniferous mess. He yanked the cork and guzzled it. The last of the binging, barrel-chested Cossacks pours out a monologue. War, money, and hijacks, brothers, Kerensky split, and we are, for the moment, the new government. The first bill I back is this rare Georgian cognac filched from the Tsar's own kabak. It smells of Siberian prison stocks and my sweaty socks, but as I second it, my constitution grows elegiac. Comrades, do you know of the angel's share, stolen booze taken by the air? It's like Russia, I fear, a fermented dream, forever dreamt, but never there. Distilled by quacks, labeled the new aphrodisiamnesiac and sold to another round of despotomaniacs. With a final vote, he raised his glass. This assembly's closed, and my bill is passed. Okay, enough of that. The next poem is actually kind of a transition into a number of poems about HIV. I've worked in HIV and public health for over 10 years now and known a lot of people. So this first poem is actually called The Cocktail, but it's for a friend of mine who died in 1999, Donnie Peters. Donnie, we counted the days till your death by tulip spears and lily bayonets. I last saw you in a has-been coat, fox fur, always a scene, on 17th Ave in November, your bare feet in pumps, breath aerosol with alcohol and smoke. Kiss me, my blue-balled cowboy, my boy toy, my call boy. Wasn't AIDS fucked your head, but 10 years of coke. If you read poetry, you didn't. You might know Lorca, you wouldn't. Rode a horse of pearl. A horse rode hard and put away wet. His took less time than yours, but obeyed all the rules of faggot death. Here's the rhyme. A gun blew the Maricon Rojo all over the avenue. Donnie, my disease Argonaut, fleecing the golden pubes. My barber of the uncivil, my resurrected stiff. Drag drags on even amongst the dead. So I want you as you weren't, not your second coming, a protease tease in a 90-pound negligee of sweat and black sarcoma lace, so late 1980s. Lipo, pills, tubes, the shits, is the eulogy if we wished you death. The one thing that this book is actually looking at is the different ways of writing poetry, of actually getting outside of the lyrical voice and looking at all the technologies that we have around us and thinking about different ways that poetry can actually manifest itself. And so this poem is called The Body. I call it a recombinant documentary poem. It's actually using stored electronic archives from a web resource in the US called The Body, where people write in with their questions about HIV. And so it goes from high pathos of people that with a paper cut worried about being infected to people that have just become infected that are freaked out of their minds. And so I've gone through about 10 years of those archives to build this poem called The Body. It's a longer poem. So Doc, what do I do? Every time my fear of getting AIDS is so intense, too much soul pain. I'm a 25-year-old guy from a very small town and moved to the city for a better gay life. Gave fellatio to a Thai ladyboy. I had my curiosity, I ain't gonna lie. We met through web chatting, hand jobs in the cafeteria, her mouth in the theater, last 1-minute ejaculation swallowed immediately. I believe the fear of AIDS is remorse when sex is bad. Trans girl that I don't like and that is not very serious. I would like an advice from you on how to manage death. Is it acceptable to be with trans girl that he does not like? I kissed her, sucked their nipples. Could this be late conversion? Blowjobs with lots of tongue. The day before I left, I purchased a lot of condom. When you go to France, you gonna need 'em. I met with lots of girls. Thank you. This guy I shared bleach needles with, HIV positive. I am worried this guy. I can't eat or drink. I realize I'm a late converter. God, I don't have much time. I need to know if you think this case. I was at a strip club and the stripper tongued my ear. Is this HIV? 1 in 1,000, 10,000, 100,000? Listen, I am totally fuck. What means this? I might actually kill myself. I have a friend, 35, bottomed his way to the top. Los CD4 eran 620, los CVs indictable. Boyfriend cheated with a transsexual. The girl he was killed herself because her husband had AIDS. He said he had been being tested, but he condom broke. Laugh out loud. There might have been pre-cum. I can't say there wasn't pre-cum. Could there have been pre-cum? Should I start taking PEP? I've always known I was positive. It must be a rare strain. I have no desire for a med-filled life with sides. Is my whole life pre-cum? Please save me. Laugh out loud. Now I want to make sex with wife. Shall I wear that latex garbage condom? 52-year-old woman in menopause. She is a slut or I don't know, but God, I love this girl. Unusual vaginal discharge. I was in that army 5 years. Unprotected anal, antigenic shift and drift. Lubed with spit, it hurt so bad. I had blood and sucked his nipples. I am pretty sure there was no milk. I just need to know if one was the protracted BJ and nipple sucking even worth it. Would HIV survive a lollipop, a book, brother-in-law? Because the virus is all over the place but gets active when it gets into an orgasm. God, I'm only 15 and I don't want something like that. I swallowed my own sperm and it's quite many. Can I get HIV? Please help me. If a guy give another guy oral, everyone comes in his mouth. Does he can still live healthy forever and live happily ever after with me? I love him so much, very too much. I parked my car, shat myself. I cried, shat myself. Mon cher docteur, j'ai tellement besoin. Shit. I guess I'm retching out tonight. I guess I find my strength and meds within. I guess I want to know whose nag, whose pause, when every ache, every cough is the virus taking away what's fake. I mean, I knew it was the HIV killing me slowly, softly. You see, I've been nagged 23 times. Anyway, he raped me and ejaculated inside of me, this very filthy, scummy old man. And you're the first person I'm sharing this with. Hello, I can't pay for one of my meds this month. Hello, I've become resistant. Hello, I'm using a vibrator in the shape of a pussy with an open sore on top of my Virginia. We did it in my backside, illegal in North Carolina, licked her clit vigorously, bareback 3 tops, fucked by a man with Jesus tattoo, pero no hubo eyaculación interna ni sangramiento. And wonder if that makes the odds more even. You see, we lost our baby. And he wants to have another, viral load over 10 million, but I won't make it. So, Doc, what do I do? This is called Us. Amorous, and us, between us, bi-curious, bi-florus, chorus, coitus, cunnilingus, decubitus, ejectidius, erogenous, fabulous, gorgeous, hortus, Icarus, Inus, Jesus, kindly adulterous, liquorous, locus, mucus, nexus, onus, phallus, quietus, raptus, rictus, sanctus, secretus, stimulus, through us, under us, Venus, virus within us. These next poems are, and these last poems are, to change the pace completely, looking a little bit more directly at specific phonemes and trying to make a poem out of that. So this first one, and I think the phonemes will become fairly clear as I go through them. This first one is called Arabian Light Crude, which is what it's called in the stock market apparently. Golden is the voiceless frictive. Yet when angels sing, you can hear the price of gasoline. Shh, shush, the Saudi sheikh, shielding his eyes from the desert sun, as into the Aramco ship the last spout drops dripped like the final notes from a sham. Cerebrally, he strums the crude homocline beneath the Shahan Shah's Finguline eardrum. Shh, you can almost sense it. First the Shanai, then the Shakawachi, then the Shang, each reed hum a shadow of the essence, the spirit, the high-octane one. He stretches his sandals through the poly shag and sings like a sibyl, like a shaman, the siffling song of the sandy Sheba. Esh, his Shaheen shits on the sleeve of his thob. On the Chinook, the Shamal, a shrill figurine, she flew beneath a shul of drill strings, legs shackled by jewels of benzene. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. F is frayful friction, like the fighter jet F-16, while two fingers fake the fiction of peace or victory. With gruff F's, the Fox Huntsman tally-hoes his lazy dogs, lost in Mickey Fins and GHB, high on soporific fogs. While the 4-foot vamp in veg flits her tail and flees, she fights for a land unfetched. Over cliff and bluff, the huntsman flings his arsenal of frag grenades, tomahawks, and extraterrestrial drones to steeplechase the vixen terrorist with a palindromic xylophone. Forest informants waterboarded say the bitch is Archduke Ferdinand or a defender of the red paw hand, while fomenting counter spooks rumor WMD or an IRA sleeper cell, pet name Synecdoche. Vermin of herded love, the well-versed floozy jumps. She scuffles in living furs and muffs. She tussles in velvet fisticuffs. On fenland tongue or covert lip, she leaves the huntsman forfeit. He fuffs his horn, his hounds hold fast, till the vapid mastiffs pick up again the inky scent. The beagles turn, the pointers point at me. Last couple of poems. This one is called Ms. Mitzi. Ms. Mitzi, not chintzy but glitzy, sports and itsy bitsy of quartz and quatzel. Since bat mitzvah, she spritzed the ziki, blintzes with drizzled schmaltz, plot zitzits in the mozza, whilst fritzling gizzards and spätzle. Chizzy ditzes kabitz, not a schmuck but a patzer, with the head of a tzantza, an air sans Rosencrantz. What a puzzle Miss Mitzi is. But Ms. Mitzi muzzles the tsaritzas and waltzes their grizzled czars to jazz on the Ritz's Wurlitzer like a chazan or tzetse in a buzzy kazoo. Undazzled, she guzzles Retsina and fizzy seltzers and crezes in jacuzzis till jizz squizzles from nuzzled pizzles or puts the putzes up her wazoo. Gunts, they tuzzle her schnitzel and dazzle her fuzzy platzel, her triple lutz, her schmazel. Dizzy and tizzy, she fizzles in a frazzle. Ms. Mitzi, what a puzzle. This next one is a collection of haiku, but again, keeping in the spirit with some of the other poems. This is actually using the Environment Canada's National Pollution Release Inventory list from 2008. The NPRI is actually a list of all the pollutants released in Canada and by chemical compound. And so I went through that list and divided it up into syllabics and then constructed a haiku out of that. So I'll pause in between the haiku. 2,2,4-trimethylhexamethylene diisocyanate. Trimethylbenzene, iron pentacarbonyl dimethylamine. 1,2,3,4,7,8-hexachlorodibenzo-p-dioxin. Butyraldehyde, cumene hydroperoxide, phthalic anhydride. Nonylphenyl and its ethoxylates, naphtha, methyl acrylate. 1-methylene bis 4-isocyanato-cyclohexane. P prime isopropyl and nidiphenol, 2-ethoxyethanol. CI acid green, dibenz AJ acridine, CFC13. Last poem, What We Were. We were drastic with our dramatics. We were cosmetic in our aesthetics. We were optimistic with our politics. We were frantic in our fanatics. We were transatlantic with our poetics. We were epic in our erotics. We were patriotic with our phonetics. We were prognostic in our amnestics. We were narcoleptic with our musics. We were psychotic in our tactics. We were exotic with our narcotics. We were artistic in our antics. We were caustic with our critics. Thanks a lot.
saying you said you have done a series of poems on the HIV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a heck of a poem. That's very good.
The
The long HIV poem.
Yeah, it took a long time to write. It took a long time. A lot of these poems I've really tried to switch in this book to really, well, one, take the time to actually blow up my perceptions of what poetry is, to kind of get myself out of writing in that lyrical voice, and to try to really, I think I've come to the realization that so few people actually read the poetry that I write that I may as well make it a challenge for myself. And so that's what I do. And so these poems are really about how can I understand the world around me, and if somebody wants to join me for the ride, they're welcome to. But I'm quite happy making these little puzzles for myself. But it's, as I try to figure out these specific issues, then people might find it interesting as well. But yeah, that one took a long time, and all of these poems are based upon a different kind of research that I've been doing, and kind of trying to see what space is there for poetry. What can poetry actually do other than telling that story of I did this, I did that, this is what I experienced. Maybe poetry can actually do something else in terms of actually telling the history that we live in, telling the present that we live in, and examining that. And so I wanted to try to see if I could put that sort of pressure on them.
Seems like a very rich area to explore the HIV, working with HIV,
Mm-hmm.
Experiences, history, medical, and so on. There must be a lot there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we know, somebody like me, I know about HIV, I know a couple of people, but I don't know what it's like to be on the front lines of that.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was for 20 years working on the front lines there, and he doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, and there's
Must be like being in a war in a way. Lots of people don't talk about it.
Yeah, well, there's so many front lines, and there's so many, and the stories that are coming now are so different than the stories from the 1980s, where, and it's not like I saw those stories either. I just worked with the people that saw them, and but we're into a very different time where HIV isn't really even thought about that much anymore. Even in Africa, it's not. When was the last time we heard our government say anything about it?
When did you write that HIV poem?
Actually, I was working on it about a year ago. But like I say, it was using the archives and the chat forums actually from the body, which is actually a really great resource. It's based in the U.S., but as you can tell from the language shifts, it fields questions mostly from Americans, Mexicans, Latin America, a lot of Canadians as well, and Europeans. And it's actually about 15 doctors that are there, and they're answering questions from all over the world. And so you get the bizarrest questions, but you also get people that are in the middle of nowhere that have just found out they're positive. And so it's this strange, you go from post to post, and what these people must actually have to deal with as they go from one extreme to the other it's pretty extraordinary to see, actually. Well, thanks a lot.